Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. Today we're going to continue my original Dungeons & Dragons solo campaign. I'm using Chainmail for the combat system and Outdoor Survival for my hex crawls. So this one's going to be, I think they used to call this back when I used to collect comic books, a crossover. And the foxes are going to be joined by the wolves. So the foxes have been doing pretty well. They've actually raided this orc/ogre lair twice now and collected quite a bit of money. In fact, they don't owe their patron anything else on this map, and they could just keep going. But with some rolls, I figured out that the world's moving on, and these orcs aren't happy that they've been raided. So they have now started causing trouble in the human settlements, and also they're planning to bring an army down. So because of this, the foxes have decided they better take care of this problem. We're going to get deeper into that in a second, but how do the wolves tie in here? Well, the wolves, if you've been following this campaign, have been getting their butts kicked by the cockatrice. They really can't seem to clear that lair, and they need to in order to pay back the map that they got from their patron. So what they're going to do is join this party to get a little bit of gold so that they can kind of go better armed into the cockatrice lair, and also get the foxes are going to help them with their lair as well. Kind of, we can't do it ourselves, guys, so let's join forces. That's the plan anyways. Let's see what happens. All right, so it is October the 25th, and a lot of stuff has happened in the last month. Well, if you remember, the foxes have been very successful raiding this lair with orcs and ogres. And I had said when we wrapped up the last one that maybe they'd leave it for a bit and go get another map from their patron. Well, as it turns out, made a few rolls, and it looks like the orcs aren't waiting around. The orcs have started to assemble, and they're planning to make raids. Maybe they've done some small ones already, but basically the orcs are mad. The group has poked the hornet's nest, and now the hornets are coming for them. Because of that, and because they're trying to establish their place in the world, they don't want to just leave the towns hanging. They've decided they're going to go back in there and try to take care of this threat. This is going to be a two-pronged effort. First of all, they know that the ogres are a big deal to fight on the open field, which is where they're going to end up fighting the orcs. So what they're going to do is they're sending the party back in, or they're going back in, I should say, to try to take out the ogres. That's step number one. In order to up their odds, they have joined forces with another group that we've been working with, the wolves. Now, if you remember, the wolves have had some issues with cockatrice. And yeah, they're kind of stuck. They need to pay back their patron, and they need to get into the cockatrice lair again, but they just can't handle it at their level. So what they're going to do, and what the compromise here is the 4 magic users that survived from the wolves are going to join this party temporarily as effectively henchmen. They're going to get a half share of treasure like henchmen would, but they're magic users, which is going to be super useful for defeating the ogres, which hopefully they'll be able to take out with sleep spells. That's kind of their plan. Then the whole bunch of them is going to retreat back out and try to lead the orcs over to here on the field. There, they will have waiting, because I've made some rolls what they could hire, 70 light horse. So light horse are, of course, great fighters, but they also have bows. They're hoping to be able to skirmish the orc troops down to basically nothing and scatter them, thus clearing the threat from this area and possibly setting up an area where a base could be formed. So the way I'm paying them is they are 10 gold pieces per week generally when you have them for normal work. What we're going to do is pay them the 10 gold pieces per week while they're kind of moving and sitting, and then if they go into combat, for however many days that combat lasts, they will get 10 gold pieces per day. In addition to that, they will get a bonus of 10 gold pieces if the orcs are completely removed from the area. So we've hired these 70 horses. Again, I did that all. I didn't think rolling a bunch of dice would be that interesting. So we've did that. So I have actually 2 groups of people we're going to move. The horsemen are going to leave after the party so that they can be waiting here. Now, what I'm going to need to do here is check something. I know that the horses, of course, because they're light horses, they can move the same rate as the party, but I believe that because they are a large group, they might be slowed down. So let's take a quick look here at the rules. Large party movement. Oh, okay, no, parties numbering over 100 incur a 1 hex penalty. Okay, so they're not over 100. I think 70 is enough now. They're hoping so. They're kind of, I basically rolled, and there was up to 80 available. We took 70 because, I don't know, that felt like a good number, plus the group that we have. And again, we're fighting, last time when we faced the orcs, there was about 120, 130 of them. So they're going to outnumber us 2-1, but again, on horses, we should have a great advantage. So let's hope that's true. So let's do this. I'm going to use outdoor survival. We're going to move, the horsemen are going to be this, I have 2 tokens up there. The horsemen are going to leave 2 days after the party. That way, hopefully, they will get to the spot 2 days, basically right around the time the party is leaving the dungeon. The party's going to try to lead the orcs out of the dungeon. That's the plan. Let's play this out and see where we get. All right, so step 1. Again, it is October 25th when the party is leaving. I have 2 pads here. Well, this one's going to be for our army, effectively. This is for the party. The party consists of 10 PCs plus 2 pack handler / horse watchers that are going to stay outside the dungeon. So there's 12 people in their party. That doesn't slow them down at all, but it will make a difference if they have to evade, because 12 is kind of a big number. So what we're going to do now is we're going to roll. They're starting off in the clear. We're going to roll a d6. On a 1, they are lost and have to go 1 hex in a random direction. 1. Somehow they leave camp. Maybe it's a rainy day, or it's excessively cloudy, or maybe they see something in the distance they want to avoid. But because of that, they've got to go 1 hex in a random direction. Obviously, it can't be a direction that sends them off the board, though. So I'll roll this, and we'll see what it comes up. 1, which would send them off the board. So actually what I'll do is I'll just count that as they were delayed 1 hex, because basically they would just come back. So they lose a hex because they wait out something, we'll say, which means they now have 9 movement points. Because remember, I'm counting it like that, movement points, if you will, because a horse can move 10 in a day across a clear plain, but some things take extra. So they have 9 moves today. Let's see what they can get. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because these count as 2 in here, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so they're stopping at the end of the day on a path, which I consider river for encounter. If they have an encounter, though, then it will be considered the mountains as far as what monsters we run into. So let's roll that. 4. In the river, there's only an encounter on 5 or 6, so there's no encounter tonight. The day passes, all is good. Next day, again, they're on river. They're only lost on a 1. 5, they are not lost. So again, they have 10 movement points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they end there in the clear. This is the second day, finished. Check for an encounter. In the clear, there's an encounter on 6. 2, so no encounter. Okay, that's the end of the day on the 27th. Now these guys are leaving on the next day, the 28th. So we'll move both. I'll start with the party first. 1, they're lost. All right. For whatever reason, in the clear, the party seems to get lost a lot. So we're going to roll what direction they end up going in. They go, for some reason, in the direction of 5, which is unfortunate because that pushes them into the mountains, which, again, a mountain takes 3. So 1, 2, 3. So they eat up a bit of their movement, but they'll keep going. 4. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're going to stop there because 9, 10 would have them end in the woods, and there's more likely an encounter in the woods, and they have plenty of movement to get to the dungeon. So again, they're going to stop there. Let's see if there's an encounter. There is not in the clear. Okay, so they're good. Again, same day, these guys are setting out. They're not slowed down because they're not that big. 6, so they're not lost. They have 10 movement points. They leave from the same place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Again, they're on a path. There'll be an encounter on a 5 or a 6. 2, there's not. That's good. And that ends that day. So they're both, again, we're on the 28th now of October. So again, we'll move the party. They're going to move around to the dungeon if nothing weird happens. On a 1, they're lost. They are not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They set up their camp, nearby the dungeon. Let's see if there's an encounter. Again, they're in the woods now, so there's an encounter on a 5 or 6. Oops. I'll re-roll that because it didn't go in the thing. 3, no encounter. Okay. So they are now at the dungeon and they're going to go in, the next day. Let's get these guys moved forward. 6 means they are not lost. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, 9, 10. Actually, they'll be smart and go here 10, just in case they get lost. Okay, let's see if they have an encounter. In the clear, they do not have an encounter on a 5. So they're good. So now the next day, these guys will be delving the dungeon, but just so I don't have to go back to this map again, we're going to go into the future a little bit and move these guys to their spot. 1, they're lost. Wow, we get lost a lot in the clear. 5, okay. They're going to move in 1 hex in a random direction, which actually happens to be kind of where they want to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they'll stop there because that's where we want the combat to happen. I'm going to roll for an encounter. 5, there's no encounter. Okay, so currently, again, we're on the same day. These guys left on the 27th. Well, they're actually 1 day ahead. So they left on the 25th. So 26, 27, 28th, they got to the dungeon. These guys left on the 27th. So 27, 28, 29 is where they are right now. So they are at 10:29. These guys have traveled to the dungeon. They got there on the night of the 28th. They're going to go in on the morning of the 29th. These guys have traveled, so on the night of the 29th, they'll arrive here. The timing kind of works perfectly here, where they're just basically a day behind. Because, of course, the party took a shorter trip that second time, right? They could have made it to the dungeon if they hadn't screwed up a little bit. So, actually, that's why I had them leave 2 days behind instead of 1 day, just to make sure. So, at this point, hopefully, on the 29th, there'll be a good dungeon delve. They'll be able to come running out with the orcs chasing them. And on the 30th, we'll hopefully have a combat, a big mass combat here to eliminate the orc threat. Not to say the party didn't cause that threat to begin with. All right, so I'm set up here. There's a couple little bits of house cleaning I need to do. This is the ogre's lair. This is the part they've explored so far and they understand. Now, the ogres originally started off with 10 ogres. 2 have perished to the party's swords. What I'm going to do is, and again, I told you that the orcs anyways, were preparing for war. So we're going to determine, have the ogres kind of restock. I don't know how common ogres are in this world, but we'll say because they're preparing for war, I'm going to say it's likely that they have. So I'm going to do the Matt Jackson Oracle thing here. White dice mean yes. Black die means no. Has the population of ogres risen? Yes. Okay. So now we're going to figure out by what. I think so ogres generally come in 3 to 18. So 18 is the max ogres. What I'm going to do is re-roll this. And again, there was 8 before. If I don't beat 8, then I'll just make it 1 more, so 9. Otherwise, we'll take whatever new number we roll. Okay, so 11. All right, well, the party's going in. They're expecting like 8 ogres, and there's going to be 11. And so now, same thing for the orcs. Have the orcs increased in number? So currently, when we first started, there was 170 orcs, and we got them down to 115. So have they increased in number? No. Okay, so the orcs have not been able to recruit. Maybe that's why they're mad. Nobody wants to join their band because they keep getting their butts kicked here. So we've got a few more ogres, but we do not have any more orcs. So that's good for us on some level. I have, if this is your first time here, I have my own wandering monster and, treasure based on this location. We're going to roll, I think they're on alert, so we're going to roll wandering monsters every other turn, as usual, but I'm going to make it a 1 or 2, which sometimes I do just a 1, sometimes I do a 1 or 2, it just depends on the situation. So for now, we're going to say it's a 1 or 2 every other turn. So I'm going to use this to track the turns. As far as torches are concerned, any character that's holding a torch, so we're going to give a few different people some torches. Basically, the magic users that just have daggers are going to have torches that they can use as weapons, but also obviously we need light, right? So these 4 are going to have torches. Does anybody else have just a dagger? Yeah, let's get, all right, so we'll give these 5 torches, and I'm going to count them using my little torches here. Every turn I will remove one of these. Torches burn for 6 turns. We are going to use torches here as opposed to lanterns because I think they may want to use them for weapons. So They're hoping to, the plan here, if they may be so bold as to have a plan, is to get in there, hopefully encounter 1 or 2 ogres max at a time, hopefully catch them by surprise or at least at a distance so that they can use their sleep spells. Because again, we have 4 magic users here. They all have sleep spells. We have this magic user here who has 2 sleep spells. This magic user has 2 sleep spells. So we've got in total 8 sleep spells. Now, of course, there's more than 8 ogres, so we'll see what's going to happen here. In OD&D, a 4+1 hit die creature just 1 gets put down, right? So they do not have enough sleep spells to take out all the ogres. So this should be interesting. They're going to have to combat at least a couple of them if they want to remove the entire ogre population. And they're going to hope not to run into any orcs. That's really the plan, so let's see what happens. Okay, move 1. So they're moving, they are armored foot. Oh, by the way, so one more thing. This is my ranks, and then I just, because I didn't have enough space, so it basically goes front, and then the back's here. So we go like this, and then those guys. So they can move a total of 12 in a turn, basically 6 twice. So what we're going to do is we know where we've encountered them before, and they're really on a kill mission right now. They want to take the ogres out. So they've encountered ogres here before and here. So they're going to go right there. They're hoping to again, get in there and take them out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 puts them there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 puts them there. So we're going to be right in the doorway. And when we see a chamber, we're going to roll. On a 1 or a 2, there's a monster in there. And again, this is going to be the first turn is done. Okay, it's empty, actually. On a 1, there's just treasure. I mean, we want treasure, right? No treasure. Okay, so this room's currently empty. So again, they don't want to get trapped in there because, again, ogres are tough. So we're going to move out and we're going to move down to this room. Now we're going systematically to try to get to where we're going. Did I put this together backwards? Yeah, I must have put this backwards because they came from the other way last time. Well, if I didn't, then the dungeon has changed. All right, so this is how it's going to be because the bad guys came from this area last time. All right, so they're going to come down to this room now. So I'm going to, this is the second turn. I'm going to remove, I want to move that to the end of the turn. I'm going to roll now for the Wandering Monster because they appear at the end of the turn. 4, okay, so there's not a Wandering Monster. Again, we're in the second turn now. We're going to move. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to stop here for a second. I just want to see if there's a monster in this room. 1 or a 2, there's a monster. No, this one's also empty. Okay, so they're going to go right across the room. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They can get right to the edge of this room. And again, there's not a wandering monster here. Is there a monster in this room? No, where are all the ogres? Okay. That's the end of turn 2. All right, they were hoping to find something right away because they don't want to go too deep in if they can avoid it. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to circle up this way and come back around to this main central chamber. Oh, there's that big chamber right there. That's very likely there'll be ogres in there. Okay, you know what? They're going to, and again, they've seen this because of last time. So what they're going to do is, actually, I don't know if they saw that far last time. They probably didn't. So they're just going to go up here and investigate. So next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They can see, we'll go to here, let's say. They can see there's a wall there. 8, 9, 10, 11. They know they can go back this way. I'm going to go 12, though, and stop right here. I'm going to explore up here a little bit. No wandering monster check because of it's an odd turn. Okay, I'm going to roll to see if there's a monster in that room before I do anything else. There is, okay. Boop. And interestingly enough, there's there's also a wandering monster potential this turn. So let's roll for that. And there is, okay. So there's going to be a wandering monster too that comes in at the end of the turn. So we'll determine where it comes from and what it is in a second, and the party might be screwed here. All right, here we go. So we're going to move on turn 4. Again, this is turn 4, so 1, 2, 3. We're going to get right to there. They see them. So here's the question. Now they have light, obviously, which could make it tricky to surprise, but of course they're being careful, and that is a large chamber. So I'm just going to give a chance to surprise for both sides. So again, 1 or 2, you are surprised. Black die is ogres. White die, well, black die is whatever it is. White die is the party. Okay, the party's actually surprised as they walk into this room. Okay, so what is in here? So I'm going to look on my list. 1. Okay, there's a D4 ogres in here. 2. Okay, we got 2 ogres. And then because we're surprised, they are only D4, so they're only 30 feet away. All right, so maybe they were like near the wall. And the party kind of just like steps out, and these ogres are here 30 feet away. So the ogres get an option. They're going to actually move forward, obviously. They see somebody violating their space. They're going to charge in. Now, this is only halfway through the turn because they only move 6. So I'm going to give a couple of rounds of combat before I roll for this wandering monster to appear. So sadly, this is not ideal for the party. The 2 ogres are going to move forward on their surprise turn. And because they're only moving that far, and the ogre's movement is... If they're moving their full move, I might not let them attack at the end of it. But I think they're moving. I'm only moving 3, and an ogre's movement is... It's got to be at least 6, right? So 9. Okay, so they're going to get to attack as well. And the party will not get to return blows. So this is not good. So we have 2 ogres. They're going to come in, and they're going to attack the party. Of course, in the front rank, we have plate mail, so they're armored foot. Ogres. Each ogre attacks as 4 heavy foot. So I've got 8 heavy foot, and 2 of the dice, we get a +1 on there. Let's look at our charts. Again, I'm using Chainmail for this, if somehow you just showed up and this is your first time. These are Chainmail combat charts. They are basically heavy foot versus armored foot. Okay? So 1 die per 2 men with a 6 hitting. So since each ogre is 2, then each ogre gets... each ogre is 4. Each ogre will get to throw 2 dice. I'm using black for 1, white for the other, because each one of them will get to add 1 to one of their dice. Any 6s will be hits. Now, because these are PCs, they need 2 hits to kill them. So, because they're 2nd level. But because we do this as an abstraction, if I just get 2 hits, period, then that means one of them is going to be dead. But if I only get 1 hit, then nobody will be dead. Okay, no hits, actually. Even with the +1s, the ogres charge in, and they're surprised, but they have their plate, and they're just like, whoa! And that's the end of the first round. Now, the party, if they win initiative, they could break away and run, but because they're in plate mail, they're not faster than the ogres. So I think they're just going to try to fight a round or 2 and see if they can make some headway here. What we have here is the following. Let me look at this space. Because they surprise them, yeah, it's just a regular 10-foot corridor. So in a regular 10-foot corridor, you can fight 3 side by side. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to roll initiative, because I want to determine if the party can move first or if the ogres can. The ogres can't move in to surround them or anything, so the party's going to move no matter what, so I don't think it's going to matter, but we'll roll it anyway. Okay, party wins initiative. So basically, this character here, that's also in plate mail, is going to move forward, because they can go 3 wide. And then I have this character here who has a spear, and this character here who has a spear. They're going to move forward. These guys will stay back. And that basically gives us, because nobody else has a long enough weapon, right? Yeah, that's it, okay. So that gives us a halberd in the front, which is armored foot, and then a spear, a spear, a spear, and a spear. So his spear's a heavy foot. So we do this as a group, so they're going to be considered heavy foot. So they are all heavy foot, 5 of them attacking. The ogres are going to be exactly the same. So combat is simultaneous. I'll roll the ogres first, though, just to see what happens. Okay, one of the ogres with their +1 scores 1 hit, but again, everybody in the front rank needs 2 hits to take them down, so no hits from the ogre. The party is heavy foot. Heavy foot versus heavy foot is 1 die per man, 6 hits. Okay. We have 5 heavy foot, so I'm just going to add 1 more die to this pile. Nobody here has a bonus. Nope, this one only gets a bonus. So what we're going to do, the black die is +1. Oh, actually, you know, I'm doing this wrong. Okay, this is the first time we've had second level characters. I totally forgot. Okay, so we're changing a little bit here. 2, 2, and 2. All three of these fight as 2 men. So they all fight together as 6 heavy foot. They fight as 1, so that's 7 heavy foot, and they fight as 1 + 1, which would be 8 heavy foot. So let me do the 6 first. So first we're doing 6 heavy foot. Actually, I'll do 7 because they also are 1. This one gets a bonus of +1, so I'm going to do them at the end so I can keep track of it. All right, so we got 7 dice. Any 6s are hits. Oh, I'll re-roll that because it fell out of the thing. Okay, no hits. No hits, okay. And now we have one more character here. They attack as man +1. No, re-roll because we got nothing. Oh, there you go. All right, they get 1 hit against 1 ogre. Now, the ogres are 4 hit dice, so it takes 4 hits to kill an ogre. But they, unlike a PC, they don't need 4 at the same time, simultaneous. They just need 4 cumulative. So for the ogres, we'll start to track it almost like a hit point, if you will. So I'm going to keep this over here. So we have 2 ogres. The first one is taking 1 hit. Okay, so we're going to do one more round of combat, and then I'm going to see what happens with this wandering monster. I think potentially the people in the back rank might break off if they don't get surprised by the wandering monster, because then they might be able to cast their sleep spell, right? If they can't cast it into a melee. The only people involved in the melee really are these guys. These guys are in the back. I mean, they're 2 rows back, so everybody else is kind of not in the melee, so they can actually cast a spell, but they can't cast it into a melee, so they can't help them here. So again, next round, 2 ogres. Again, they each get a +1. So I'll do the same thing again. No hits. The party gets 7 dice. Straight 7 dice. And then 1 more with +1. Ooh, 1, 2. Okay, and again, because the way we do this and it's abstracted, they're just going to always be considered against the group of ogres. We don't have to worry about which ogre they're hitting. As soon as there's enough damage to kill an ogre, it will be dead. This one's going to be at +1. Missed. Okay. Now we're going to roll for a wandering monster. I'm going to roll a d6. 3. Okay, a d4 ogres. More ogres are coming. This is not good. 1. All right, 1 ogre is coming. So there's potential that they could come from here or here. So we're going to roll. And if they're, well, actually, technically, I suppose we could count here or here because they can see them here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so they're coming from here. Are they surprised? You know, because again, they're wandering. They didn't come because of the noise. So are they surprised and are the party surprised? Nobody's surprised. So the distance on these guys is 4, 6. Okay, so they're actually right here when both groups notice. Basically, the guys in the back probably notice them. They see an ogre wandering down. And what we're going to do now is we're going to definitely need to roll for an initiative, because since these guys are ready, now technically movement happens before spell casting, but I think that because they're ready, obviously, they're sitting here waiting to cast their spells. If they win initiative, I'm going to allow the spell to go off before the ogre can get to them. So if not, then the ogre's going to charge up in the back, and that's going to be very bad. Okay. 5. I'm not going to keep re-rolling stuff. So that's fine. They win initiative. From now on, we'll keep it if it goes outside. Unless it lands up here. I never like that. Okay, so okay, I re-rolled it because I feel like that's a better way to do it. Be a bit consistent. So the party wins. They're going to cast their sleep spell. This guy right here is going to. And what I'm going to do is just throw this on top of him so I know he cast it. And the sleep spell doesn't get a saving throw, and it automatically takes out 1 character. So this ogre is asleep. That's good for us right now. Now, back to the combat. These ogres in the front, they've been missing a lot, but you know what? It starts to... All it takes is a good roll. Oh, they get +1 to that die, but it's still only 1 hit. You can see now, if you've been following this, how important it is to have multiple hit dice. Fighters, once they get up a couple levels, actually have a little bit more survivability. So again, we're back to our 7 dice. Only 6s are kills. Oh man, 3 5s, nothing there. And then our 1 die that gets a +1. Ah, 6, perfect. That's 4. So 1 ogre is dead. So this other ogre is now going to have to make a morale check. They don't know about this ogre over here, so they're... because when we look at an ogre, they are heavy foot. Actually, let me just check to make sure it doesn't say ogres don't check morale. Some creatures don't check morale, but I'm pretty sure ogres check morale. They don't seem like they'd be organized enough to... And if they don't check morale, I definitely should put that on my sheet so I remember for the next time. Okay, true trolls do not fight, do not check morale. Okay, so they will check morale, and they are heavy foot. So we're going to look up heavy foot morale. So this is losses for excess casualties. Heavy foot, when they've lost more than 33%, they got to make a 7 or better. So I'm going to roll 2d6. If they fail, they're going to retreat, assuming they get initiative. 8, okay. So they're going to stay and fight. Now there's only 1 ogre. 2 dice with a +1. So basically they've got to get 2 6s on these 2 dice in order to kill anybody, which isn't impossible, but that's 1 6. Now I'm rolling the 7 dice for the party. Huh, nothing. I feel like when I roll a lot of dice, again, dice is up here, I'm going to re-roll. Those are the only ones I'm going to re-roll as if they're up here. Okay, nothing. 1 extra guy with a +1. Nothing. Okay, back in the next round. Ogres. Nothing. Party. Ooh, 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 ooh. 1, 2, 3. Now, if I get lucky on this roll and get a 5 or a 6, this ogre's down. Let's hope so. No. Okay, it's got 1 little bit left. It's attacking ferociously, trying to take out a player character. It does not. Player characters attack it. 2 more 6s. Okay, ogre's dead. All right. They quickly inform the party that there's another one here, and a couple of the fighters run forward, you know, because they don't want to send an armored person down here, and basically slit that ogre's throat. I hate to do it, but again, we gotta do what we gotta do. So there's 11 ogres in here. We've now taken out 3. Of course, they don't know that. All right, so the ogres don't have any treasure on them, but I will check to see if there's treasure in this room, because of course they always want treasure. So on a 1, 2, or 3, there's treasure in this room. Nope, no treasure. All right. That's the end of that turn. And that was the wandering monster check, so we don't have to do that. And we're going to reassemble the party back here. It's surprising there's no treasure in this room, but you know what? Maybe this is like a big conference room or something. So that's a huge space to cross. I think they're going to go up and check up here. If you've been enjoying these actual plays, I hope you have. If you got this far, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Do all those good things. You can check the description below. You'll find a link to some of the games and other things I use. If you have questions about what I'm using, please do make a comment and I will add it to the growing list of things. I can always remember what to put in there. Also down there, you're going to find a link to, and I'm not wearing one today, but my t-shirts. If you don't know, I have a t-shirt line that I just started. You can pick up t-shirts. They're on Amazon. I'll put a link. Check them out. And my Discord server, if you'd like to join the conversation over there. It's always a fun place to chat about gaming and other things. And finally, down there is a link to my Patreon. If that interests you, check it out. I'll talk to you soon.